Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining today for another one of these brief Teams talks. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the JAMA network resource that we purchase access to, that you have access to, and what all is available in that resource, and some things that aren't available immediately in the resource, but it's good that we have access to even the content we don't subscribe to, because you can still get that through other means. And I mentioned before we got started that I was going to show how you can actually earn some CME through using this resource as a faculty member. There's also copyright permissions process they have built into the resource. If you're going to do like a poster or a journal article submission, we're going to talk about that. But before I go into that, I just want to show you a couple places you can actually find the link to the resource. So if you go to the LUCOM library page, it's just liberty.edu/LUCOM/library. Underneath databases, we've got a lot of our commonly most popular used resources. You'll find a link to JAMA underneath databases. If you click on this research guides link, it takes you to the guide that we build that houses all of our electronic resources, and you'll find JAMA under the featured resources here. You'll find the link to it. And of course, in the A to Z databases, this is everything we have organized alphabetically, and you'll find JAMA right there. So clicking any of those links will work the same way. They'll take you to the JAMA network site. And so the main things I wanted to show you were what we actually purchase access to is the main JAMA network electronic journal. There are I guess I wouldn't call them sub-journals, but there are other titles within the JAMA network for different specialties. And if you click on this little ellipses, this 3-line thing over here, you'll find under publications, there's JAMA cardiology, JAMA cardiology, dermatology, internal medicine, neurology, oncology, all these different specialties. They're actually separate publications. So the access we purchase doesn't grant us access to all of these specialties. But if you find an article, say you found an article in JAMA Internal Medicine and we don't have immediate full text access to that resource, if you send me the DOI, the digital object identifier, which each article will have, I can get it through interlibrary loan and usually get it back to you within a day. So, but just want to point that out, that sometimes people will email the library and say, why can't I access this article? And it's like, oh, it's because it's actually part of like JAMA cardiology, and we don't have the subscription to that. But we do have access to a lot in the main JAMA network site. So when you first go to it, you'll see there's a search bar here, and we can search for just like anything. I mean, I believe they use mesh subject headings. So if we do hypertension, whoops, I didn't mean to do a backslash there. You'll see that it pulls up articles within this resource. And what's kind of cool is you can see it'll show you which publication those are in. So I found over 7,800 articles within the JAMA publication, which is what we subscribe to. So you'll have access to all that full text content. If it's something in internal medicine, ophthalmology, neurology, surgery, again, we don't have immediate access to that. But if you send me the DOI of an article that you find that you want to get, I can usually get that back to you within a day. On the main page under here, you'll see explore our publications. And I'll show you the main one we have access to is JAMA, like I said. And so when I click on that, it'll take a second, but it'll take me to that journal online. And you'll see a couple tabs up here. We still have access to our search bar, so we can search within this publication for mesh terms. But you'll also see we have new online issues and for authors, and you'll find just published content here. It'll tell you what it is, whether it's research or opinion, clinical review. There'll be editorials sometimes in here. But this is things that are put onto the website as soon as they are published, ahead of like a print process. So you'll see this effective anticoagulant therapy for 6 weeks versus 3 months, recurring bleeding events, was published yesterday. So this is like very, very current stuff that's here. And so if you click new online, that's going to give you access to more of that content. That, look, this is just published today. Preparing hospitals' medical oxygen delivery systems for respiratory pandemic. So that was just put out today. these little symbols next to the articles show you, it's a little Acrobat Reader or Adobe Reader. Shows you that we have PDF access. You can download a PDF of that, just like it'll look like just like it would in a print journal. If you want to look at the current issue, it can be kind of confusing because the current issue, there will be more things in the new online that aren't necessarily in the current issue. So right now the current issue is volume 327, number 2. So there's going to be things that show up in new online that aren't necessarily in the current issue. So if that it could be confusing. It's not terribly confusing. But you'll see, again, we have full text access to all these articles. Here's that DOI, of course, which you don't necessarily need unless you're doing a citation of something in this resource. But if you find an article in one of the other publications and we don't have immediate access to it, if you send me this DOI, I can get it back to you very, very quickly. And again, we have PDF access to these, so I can open articles with my Adobe Reader and have it just like it would be in the print journal. If you want to use that, you can put these on Canvas or something. And so there's current issues, there's past issues. So they have indexed. It's kind of crazy, but it goes back to like the 1800s. I mean, I don't know why that. I guess it's maybe for historical interest. You can actually go back to the 1880s and find previous issues, but just like there are PDFs here, so if I go back to the 2000s, I'm not sure how useful the past issues are going to be, because mostly I feel like with medical research, you want the most current, up-to-date articles published within the past few years. But this is just a useful tool that these past issues are indexed here. So this is back from 2009. I have PDF access to all these full-text articles. Going back to new online, and let's say you want to get regular updates from JAMA Network of just new content that's being published, new online. You'll see this little I'm not sure what this is called, but it's a symbol that means it's an RSS feed, which is called Really Simple Syndication. You can subscribe to updates from this new online section of JAMA, and you'll actually get those updates sent directly to you without having to actually go to the resource. It's a little confusing if you're not used to using an RSS feed reader. If you actually click on this symbol, it just shows you the XML, which really doesn't mean anything. But just so I could show you, I installed an extension. This is my Firefox browser. I installed an extension called FeedBro, and I've already done this, so you're already seeing it. But you can actually find feeds in the current tab, and it'll actually subscribe to this XML RSS feed in your feed reader in your browser. And you don't have to use FeedBro. You can use whatever you want. If you go look in your Google Chrome store for extensions, you'll find all kinds of feed readers. There's all kinds available in Firefox as well. This is just one that it was highly rated. So when you open those feeds in your feed reader, you'll see I'm getting these articles sent directly to my feed reader, my aggregator in my browser. So I wouldn't even have to go to JAMA Network to read that content. It's already available right here. You can also subscribe if you don't want to use a feed reader and you prefer like a listserv kind of thing. You can subscribe to updates with your email address, where you just type in your email, sign up, and you'll get emails with updates of content that's new online in the resource. So I talked a little bit about searching the different JAMA specialties. If you go back over to the ellipses or this 3-line rows up here, you'll see there's podcasts available, which is pretty cool. And they've got clinical reviews, editor summaries, medical news, author interviews, and more. So you can actually go here, and if you're a person that likes to listen to podcasts, they have all kinds of stuff. I mean, they're current things, trending topics, hydroxychloroquine, why people are talking about that, AFib. So if you wanted to listen to interviews or clinical news and things like that, you could reach that, and you'll see you can actually subscribe to these too in your Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. So these podcasts are also available there. Something I wanted to show about the permission request. If I go back, I'm going to go back and find an article here. So let's say this first article, this is a Medical News and Perspectives article that was just published today. And Over here at the right, when I click on the title, it brings the full article, but I can get the PDF here. I can get a citation if I want to put if I want to cite this in a publication. But you'll see this copyright symbol with permissions, and clicking on that takes you to what they call a rights link. It's a module they use for requesting permissions to be able to use things, and it's as simple as answering a few questions. I would like to, if I want to use this in a book or a textbook, a journal or magazine subscription, presentation slide. This is why I said this would really be useful if you're looking to use like an infographic from this resource in a poster presentation or in a journal subscription, or excuse me, a journal article that's going to be published. Whereas if you were doing this for a lecture, you were going to use something in a lecture, I wouldn't really necessarily suggest that you go through this process. But you can choose whatever you want to do here. If I want to use this in a journal or a magazine, I can choose whether I'm a physician or if it's educational purpose or training organization. It's as simple as answering these questions, whether you be translating it, no, your currency. If it's a foreign published article, I guess, and they want some kind of compensation for permissions, you can choose your format, whether it's going to be print and electronic. I don't need to explain everything. It's very common. I mean, it's very, what you see is what you get. You answer these questions, you get a quick price for what it would cost to get permissions to use that in the publication that you're using. So I just thought this was kind of cool because I'm interested in copyright issues. And this is just the first time I've seen something so explicitly done in a resource to kind of make that process a little easier. There's also, if you go back to the main JAMA network page, let's see if we can, it's also under publications here. There is JAMA Network Open. So this is kind of a transformative-ish publication, because there are lots of publications, they call them transformative open access, because they're transitioning to more of an open access platform where things are freely available. There's no paywalls. You can share full text content with colleagues. So they have their own open access platform called JAMA Network Open. So if you're interested in open access, what's available out there, this is a resource that you could flag for that. There is CME available. If you click on the little 3 rows up here under JAMA and you scroll down to the bottom, you'll find they call it their JN Learning Platform, or CME. And you can actually browse by topic or state. So if you're looking at this for your licensing requirements for your CME, you can actually go to where you're licensed. So I can go down to Virginia and find 77 available items for CME there. Talks about how you can earn that, how you can apply that. You can still browse by topic within your state. So if you're interested in obtaining CME through a resource, this could be a good one to consider. The last 2 things I want to mention, because we're running out of time, is there's a mobile app available. And if you scroll down, let's see where is the, actually I'm in JN Learning, so I need to go back to JAMA Network. You click on apps, you click on this the three rows here and go down to apps, and it'll give you links to where you can download the JN Listen app in the Apple App Store. So that's for listening to those podcasts that I was talking about. And the very last thing I want to mention is that if you want to use these things like to claim CME, or if you want to subscribe to certain things about your interests, you can create an account that'll be associated with your Liberty Access, and you can select your interests, which things you want to have subscriptions to. You can embellish your profile, or fill out your profile, and so that's just something. I obviously have done this because you can, if you go to interest, for example, and you can select that you're interested in any of these: bleeding and transfusion, clinical challenge, clinical decision support, and you can subscribe to weekly emails or monthly emails for that content. So we're right at 12:43. That's everything I really wanted to show for this resource. Again, this is recorded, so I'll host this. I'll post this recording. It'll be available on the research guide. If you go to the main research guide page, underneath brief how-to sessions, this is where you can find recordings of all of these team sessions that we do. So thank you guys for your time. I hope you guys have a good rest of your afternoon, and please let me know if you have any questions or there's anything else I can help with. So thank you.